What's going on, guys? This is podcast, what number now? 15 maybe?
Probably so.
15, David?
16?
Yeah, it's 15. Podcast 15.
It's 15 because we haven't released 14 yet because I got ill and didn't release it, and now we're all behind.
Gotcha. So we're like in the future?
Yeah, we're in the future because it's probably going to be a week and a half, 2 weeks before I release this. So.
Awesome.
But I'm going to try to release it before the second week of the playoffs for sure. So,
okay.
I might do a double release on Monday. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But it takes so long to upload these things. It's ridiculous. I mean, for basically every hour that you shoot, it takes double the time to actually upload it. So.
Is it your bandwidth? Is it the bandwidth, or is it just?
You're speaking nerd, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's basics, man.
Remember, you had me download that app one time because we talked about the speed of my internet, and you're like, do this.
Yeah, the speed test.
And I
yes.
downloaded it, and you're like, oh, no, you should be good. I mean, and I even Ethernet it in, but it's
once you Ethernet in, it like doubles that speed.
It takes a really long time. It was taking like 12 hours just off Wi-Fi.
That's crazy.
So, but
it must be the quality of what you shoot in, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely HD camera and everything like that. But I still see guys that are uploading in like 1080p, and I think the most you can go on ours is 720. So,
really? Okay.
But I mean, we really need to. It's something that I actually should write on this goal list right now before I forget. But
jot that down.
I would really like to get a guy that's like a tech guy, and I've been kind of courting David to move in front of the camera and to sit here with me and just have a dedicated tech guy that shoots the podcast and uploads them and does everything for us.
Knows the ins and outs.
Yeah, knows how to do it. Yeah, because me and David have done some experimenting even with just trying to isolate the audio. It's like we're speaking Chinese.
You need a mixing board and everything like that to separate the audio and the video.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's that complicated. I mean, a lot of I guess Rogan's earlier podcasts and even like Steven Ranella, who does the Meat Eater podcast, they just use a phone with some type of apparatus hooked to it and upload it that way. So I think there's a lot easier ways to do what we're doing.
Right.
But this
you gotta learn the hard way.
This is our preferred way because it's the only way I know how to do it. So.
That's the best way to do it. Is you learn the hard way.
So yeah, we're definitely learning. Try to get better, but it's definitely something that me and Dave will probably talk about on the way home, or maybe at dinner, just to try to figure out somebody to come in. But
if I lived closer, I'd probably take that task.
That'd be sweet.
But I don't live closer. Maybe if I get a better car, when I get a better car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even still, you're talking about. We usually take a week off and then shoot 2 weeks in a row, so that's pretty strenuous on anybody. But I'm thinking maybe if I offer to pay somebody, because it's hard to get people to show up for free.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, well, you don't need the money. So anyway,
we always need
cash
money.
in on free interns. And say we're a business.
Yeah.
There you go.
But then they look into our Instagram and stuff and they're like,
this guy's not legit.
You got 17 followers and 10 subscribers. I don't think I want to intern for you for free and sit out in a garage that doesn't have a door on it right now and try to shoot a podcast. So anyways, David, as tradition, how was your week? Was it good?
It was well. How was your week?
It was cold. Well, I started off almost dead.
Yeah.
And I went to the hospital and they made me better. And then the rest of the week was cold after that. So I had a really good day today. I avoided the cold almost entirely. And I go to this last place.
Yeah.
And I go out in the shop and you can literally see my breath. And I'm like, of course, the last place.
That must be a Jerry shop.
Yeah, because you can almost see your breath in here. Like I wore my Jordan shirt to go with my Jordan shoes, and I can't even take my sweatshirt off because I'm cold. Your son's over here wrapped in 3 blankets. See him shivering. See his lip quivering.
I'm saving up money for that car, man. I'm saving up money for that car.
So, how much money is too much money, Scrooge?
There's never too much.
Does your dad seriously bathe in the money when nobody's looking? Is he like, oh, it's all mine?
No, it's going to UK this year, next year, and
see how he made you feel bad there.
Yeah, in the 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, because my daughter's going to be going there next year, so
I got mine covered by scholarship. It's not me.
Oh,
well, he got some covered.
Shot that down.
I know it. I'm trying to stick the chest out and deflates it.
So, our topics are going to be fantasy football, and then we're going to talk about the playoffs.
Yeah.
The playoffs I'm really interested in, so I think we should save it for last. So I haven't asked you yet, but I got torched in my fantasy finals by my brother, who told me about halfway through the season he wasn't even going to make the playoffs, and then he ended up torching me in the playoffs.
Nice.
So how did you all do in your championship?
Well, our championship game was very lackluster. If I had made the playoffs, I would have wiped them.
I'm not talking about the team
Oh.
that you preached about. I'm talking about your other team that you made the championship in.
That team. Okay, the redraft. The redraft. Whenever you talk about fantasy, I immediately go to Dynasty.
You think about your sucky team. That makes sense.
Well, I go to Dynasty because that's
I just want to take a shot.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
I just want to take a shot. So how did y'all do?
We lost by 14 points.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, there was $1,000 on the line. That's pretty.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was $1,000 on the line.
Did you not get anything for second?
Well, I know we got our league fee back, which was $150, but that was just for winning our division. So I don't know if we get anything for second. I think it's winner take all.
Well, at least you get something for the league. I played in the league last year that you didn't get anything for the league. So
this is true. This is true.
That was pretty
we should probably change that.
Yeah, you probably should.
Probably should.
Maybe pass a rule.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I was extremely disappointed. And I know we talked about this on the last time I was on your podcast that about week 17 and the 2-week playoffs and how I like the one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I played in the 2-week, I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't like playing in week 17.
Yeah.
Because we had the best team all year long.
Yeah.
Had Todd Gurley, had a couple. David Johnson went out, but we didn't have Todd Gurley, who carried our team all year long in week 17, and that's ultimately why we lost. We didn't have him. We had good waiver wire pickups. Picked up Kenyon Drake. He kicked some butt, towards the last part of the year, and we had some people on reserve that that we've been using in and out all year long. But it was disappointing not having him. Otherwise, we'd be the champion. But
the problem, because I thought about the exact same thing. I didn't want to play this late in the year because so many teams bench their good players.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to do to get like an even number of games to where everybody plays everybody and stuff like that. And so, like, I was looking into it when I was talking about maybe me doing a dynasty league, and I was trying to figure it all out and doing the math, and it's just really hard to get everything to fit in to where you get
Well, even if you do maybe the first round, do that as a one game, and then do the championship as a 2 game. Sure, okay. You can set it up that way.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure you can.
But at the same time, if you're going to do 2 weeks, it would suck pretty bad to make that first week 1 week whenever the best team all year could have one off week and be over with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, either that or you cut down regular season games.
Yeah.
Our dynasty,
I would prefer to cut down regular season games because a lot of them,
Our dynasty is 8 teams, so we play each other twice.
Right.
It's even. So that's usually our tiebreaker is our head-to-head and then total points. But if you were to cut those down to 2 weeks, then you wouldn't be playing everybody twice.
I know, and that's kind of.
It makes it kind of tough.
Yeah, that's what I kind of faced because I want to do 18 league, but I was having difficulty figuring out how the playoffs could work and make it end earlier.
You just had to cut off the regular season.
Yeah, and then somebody would be griping because they got to play a crappy team twice, and then
roll the dice.
Yeah, so
that's a roll of the dice. Draft better.
Yeah, so I guess your dynasty team didn't pan out.
No, but I'm still, since it is dynasty, I think I've still got a good young core, team that I'm gonna, do well with next year. I got the 3rd pick, so I finished third to last. So
I was pretty much decimated by injuries. I mean, my top 2 wide receivers went out before even week 1, and I was able to make some trades for like Michael Thomas, and I was able to pick up guys like Robbie Anderson.
That was a good pickup this year.
Such a good year, and then
this year,
I traded for T.Y. Hilton, thinking Andrew Luck was about to come back, and he had 1, maybe 2 good weeks.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, but what do you expect from the guy when doesn't have Andrew Luck? I mean,
What do you think about him? What do you think about where he's going to be?
Luck.
You think he's going to? Yeah, Luck. Where do you think he's going to? Do you think he's going to be at Indy next year?
I don't know.
An all-season trade deal.
It's funny. We were talking about Isaiah Thomas on the way up here, and how the hip is kind of a degenerative injury, and I would consider the shoulder somewhat similar, especially when you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
And talking about trips that these guys take to Germany now to have stem cell and everything else injected in their arms. And I would highly recommend he do something like that. I mean, it seemed to work out pretty well for Kobe whenever he
did the same thing.
Yeah, he tore his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he went over to Germany and had stem cells and stuff. injected, and Joe Rogan's talked about it a lot.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's talked about his torn rotator.
And how much it made a big difference in him. Right. And I feel like it would be very beneficial. I think it's silly that these guys have to go all the way to Germany or wherever, Canada.
But it had to be a little bit something more than they originally let on, because him and Cam had the same surgery right around the same time.
But you look at the struggles that Cam kind of went through too this year. I mean,
he played all year though.
Yeah, he did.
He played all year.
He did, but I think that so much more of Cam's game revolves around his legs and making plays that way, and so much of Andrew Luck's game is bombing. I mean, it makes it hard to do, and I think that's the big deal. They kept saying that he was having trouble throwing the ball down the field. Right. So, I mean, who knows? He could have been throwing underpasses all day and played the full year.
I heard he hadn't, up until, maybe a month or so ago, he hadn't thrown a football.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, there's so much with it. I think Andrew Luck was so hurt from playing behind that awful offensive line and taking all those hits that I think he was so hurt that he needed this time for his body to heal, because he played all last year, and they kept hiding his injuries and throwing a little deception here and there to prevent from what was really going on. And I mean, I think he was so hurt that he really needed this full year to kind of recuperate. So but that was kind of the story of my year, was injuries and making stupid draft picks like picking up Doug Martin, and then him coming back after serving his suspension and everything like that, and not performing at all.
He was very lackluster.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I was looking at my draft on a redraft, and about the first 5 to 7 rounds, those people was like the core of our team, obviously, and they didn't change. But everybody after that was not on our final roster. Yeah. So that just goes to show you that just start after about round 7, start taking shots. Just start taking shots at potential.
Well, I think I guess the end result of my season, which it may not have mattered in the championship game, but I think the biggest changing factor of my season was when I had the opportunity to go Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley back to back, and I didn't, and I went Melvin Gordon, Tom Brady. But Tom Brady was still the number 1 points getter on my team. But I think having those two guys would have solidified my running backs big time in a way that I wasn't able to actually do, because Carlos Hyde was so up and down.
Right.
I thought when Jimmy Garoppolo came over, it was going to be a giant boost to him. But it really didn't end up being until the last two games.
You would have won. You definitely would have won if you had Gurley on your team.
I won the regular season.
Yeah.
But you told me that Gurley didn't play the last game, right?
He didn't play week 17, right?
So I was down by 40 points going into week 17.
Oof.
So I mean,
you would not have been down by 40 points because Todd Gurley scored 44 points.
That's true.
In week 16.
That's true.
There's that whole adage of taking that quarterback a little bit later.
But I mean, I just couldn't overcome that because my team was so. I mean, Carlos Hyde didn't do anything. Melvin Gordon had a really good game.
He was kind of up and down, and then Eckler started eating into his carries and playing time. 2
or 3, maybe even 4 of the last 5 or 6 games, and really the change came when I picked up Jacksonville defense and I picked up Greg Zerlin, and that kind of propelled me. Yeah. And those last couple weeks in the playoffs, Greg Zerlin got hurt, and then the Jaguars defense played awful there.
They had some bad games.
And it didn't boost me, and then I was having trouble filling the tight end spot, and I had traded away Zach Ertz at that point in time, and I was having trouble filling a tight end spot with Cameron Brate, and I had Jack Doyle, and I had the dude from Buffalo, Clay. And I just was having difficulty filling that in, and really Tom Brady was off the last couple of weeks. I mean, they were winning by so much, he would just hand the ball off.
Yeah.
I mean, it made it pretty difficult to overcome that. So
right.
I feel like the number one thing that I'm going to try to do next year, and it sounds stupid, but I feel like you almost have to pick players from bad teams.
No. You pick players with good offensive schemes.
Yes.
And
but the word, it seems like if you pick like from the top teams like New England, stuff like that, they're not going to get as much run as they would, from certain teams. Maybe, the Saints or somebody that's more offensive centric. But once the New England defense picked up, they just seemed to be happy to play defense, run the ball, score 20 points, and after they scored 20 points, they're going to beat you. It didn't matter. So,
No, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree with that.
I just was throwing it out there.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
I understand.
how about
it makes
quarterbacks?
sense just because of the volume that those players will get, and like we were talking about earlier, you go for the talent versus, position or what was I trying to say? Like the position that he's in within a certain team. You know? Yeah, like the workload.
We were talking about talent earlier, and I was telling you that I thought that a lot of guys can play on any team no matter what.
Right.
And like the one outlier was kind of Jimmy Graham, but we looked it up, and he was still top 5.
He's still top 5, right?
So I mean, even though he's not even being properly used, it doesn't seem like he's still a top 5 guy.
It's not hard to be a top 5 tight end though, because there's not very many tight ends. So
I don't know.
There's usually after 1 or 2, there's a huge drop off, and like
I wonder what kind of
3 through 7.
Did you remember what kind of stats he was putting up with that?
No, I don't remember. But like I said, he had. I do remember that he had a couple bad games in the beginning of the season, sandwiched by a couple bad games in the end of the season, and the meat of the season was in the middle.
Yeah.
But
and it
but like
seems
I said,
to be when Wilson was playing the best is when Graham was a benefactor there.
I didn't realize that he was the number 1 quarterback all year. He finished as the number 1 quarterback.
He finished number 1.
Yeah, he finished as number 1 just because of his rushing.
Yeah.
And rushing touchdowns.
I mean, the problem with him is you really never know what you're going to get. I mean, like
I wouldn't.
He's so up and down.
If I had him, I would have played him, but
right.
I wouldn't have drafted him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have drafted him, but.
And I think the guy that drafted him also had Ben Roethlisberger, so it didn't seem like he knew what to do as far as picking him or starting Russell Wilson every week.
It's tough call.
Yeah,
probably starting Russell Wilson. I mean
Big
Ben had some big games, but
yeah,
he also had some pretty crappy games there too.
I mean, you never know when either guy's going to have 5 touchdown passes or not.
Yeah, weapons-wise, I would have started Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because he's got better weapons surrounding him, Le'Veon Bell.
But I thought that there was a lot of games that Pittsburgh had that their offense was very underwhelming. Even when they had all their pieces there.
But Juju, when he stepped up, I mean, that Browns game, the last game, he killed.
Right, but that was just more of, hey, Antonio Brown's not playing.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell's not playing. So, I mean, they didn't really have a choice. They kind of had to use them in that scenario. So, I'm not really sure that either one of our season really vindicates either one of our points. I think it just I think it shows that both of our mindsets kind of work for us and we make it work for our program.
But I'll tell you what, my brother who we shared that team with, we started out 3-0. Took a 3 games kid, and then we won every game all the way up until we lost the championship game.
Right.
So it took a little bit of ironing out, but we got it there.
That's kind of the way mine was. I told you I lost like 3, maybe. I think I lost 4 games all year. I was 9-4, and
that's not bad. We were 10-3.
I went on I don't even remember a big winning streak, like 7-game winning streak, and then I lost 1. So I think I lost 3 games, maybe 3 out of the first 4. So I was in almost last place and then go all the way up to first.
Back.
So, but I mean,
the thing is,
it just waiver wire is the biggest thing for me. I mean, and it's one of the reasons that I was very good in your league last year is because I think there's a lot of valuable pieces, and I've told you that before because we've talked about draft picks and especially in Dynasty, and I value the waiver wire way more than I do a draft pick because a draft pick is toss up.
Well, maybe, but you're not going to get these in these rookie drafts. You're not going to get these rookies on the waiver wire because they're going to be drafted. Kareem Hunt,
Kamara, though.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt. Those were second, third round rookie picks last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be the outliers, but how many of your rookies?
There's not outlier. I mean, you say they're out. Yeah, there's probably 1 or 2 of those a year. And outliers that you're not really that the scouts didn't get, that you didn't get, but they're there. There's at least 2 or 3 every year.
Well, I guess from my perspective, and what I mean by this is, I have faith in the rookie draft picks I make. Like last year, I drafted Michael Thomas, Kenyon Drake, Jared Goff, I traded for Jared Goff and I drafted Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So that's 4 guys that were really good years this year. So I have faith in my decisions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these other guys that are passing up these waiver wire gems are also the same guys that are drafting rookies that are busts. So you have to have faith in what you're doing and in faith that these guys are going to be taking,
It's a balance.
What's the dude that got drafted by Tennessee, Doyle Green Beckham. You know,
Yeah.
he's a big guy
He
a
was a
couple
big
years
name.
ago.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, is he even
hasn't
on a
done-
practice squad right now? I mean, I don't know.
That's a good
So,
question. I don't think so.
You have to have faith that what you're doing makes sense. And me personally, I still value the waiver wire more than
Yeah.
I do, you know.
Or even like guys like Mike Williams who get. Is it Mike Williams at
Yes.
Chicago?
No, Chargers.
Okay. James White. Not
James White. Yeah,
James White.
James
Okay.
White
James
played
White.
for the
Yeah.
Bears.
Plays for the Bears. Yeah. He's seen the field one time in 2 years because of injuries, and he was highly touted.
And Cam Meredith was one of my guys that I drafted this year, thinking he was going to have a big year, and he got hurt. So I can't remember who my other.
I'll give you one. Laquan Treadwell, first round draft pick. He's seen the field every year, and he still ain't done nothing.
I didn't watch a lot of football this year. I've talked about it on the podcast a lot, but every now and then I would flip through, and I remember flipping through, and there being a Vikings game on, and he caught like a 10-yard out route, and the fans just went crazy because like, oh, he's alive still.
Alive,
yes,
he's alive.
yes.
I tell you what, though, when the very beginning of the season, I'm all into it. But even though we made the championship and everything, it kind of waned on, and it just wasn't really into it this year. As far as towards the end, because
you're going to let go of that team too.
Yes. Yeah.
And I get that part of it, and I definitely prefer, after playing both and coming back to this one and not having Dynasty, I would definitely prefer Dynasty at this point. Didn't Laquan Treadwell go like number 2 overall in our rookie draft last year? I'm almost positive he did because he took Elliott first.
Yeah, I think so.
And Laquan Treadwell.
No, Laquan Treadwell was 2 years ago. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Yeah,
and because I remember
because he was highly talented.
I remember having the last pick, and I was like, oh, please Michael Thomas still be there. Please Michael Thomas be there, and he still was, and I drafted him.
That was a good pick.
Better than Laquan Treadwell.
Definitely, I drafted him this year based on
Treadwell.
Michael Thomas,
and he didn't have that great of a year.
He didn't,
and it doesn't make any sense.
But he's still young, and I'm
gonna have him.
I've got him for life.
Yeah. So.
But in our redraft, we drafted David Johnson first, and we kept him on our roster all year long, knowing he wasn't going to come back.
No, they said he was going to come back.
Well, at some point in the year they were questioning it, but towards the end of the year they were like, he's not coming back. They put a fork in that. By Thanksgiving they knew that he wasn't going to come back. But my point in that is, we were wanting to win and hold David Johnson over everybody's head, saying we lost our number 1 pick, and yet we still won, but we couldn't do it.
Well, and that goes back to when I have made a lot of stupid trades this year of guys that were coming back for injury. Like, I thought Andrew Luck was going to come back, so I traded Zach Ertz for T.Y. Hilton. That
was a pretty bad trade.
I had 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks at this point in time. I had Brady, Andrew Luck, Alex Smith. I thought Andrew Luck was going to come back, and then I was going to drop Alex Smith. And I also had Carson Wentz.
Dang, you had 3 of the top 5 quarterbacks.
I've got a good eye for quarterbacks. What can I say? That's the reason I pick them first.
You got to get off them or trade them for.
Well, that's what I did. I was like, okay, Carson Wentz is having a really good. It was probably 4 or 5 games in. He's having a really good year so far. I'm not sure that they can sustain this. And the guy just had David Johnson, and Bruce Arians comes out and says, David Johnson's coming back around Thanksgiving.
Oh, man.
And so I traded Carson Wentz
and
got David Johnson, and I was thinking, okay, David Johnson is going to be my ace in the hole, so when the playoffs come, I'm going to be able to plug him in, and I'll be good.
Not so much.
Nope, didn't work.
That's what those Elliott owners were thinking. They could plug him in there in the championship game, and he did okay, but he wasn't,
He should have just been a man, accepted his punishment, and the Cowboys would have been a lot better off.
Totally agree.
Yeah, because they didn't have to plan. Okay, is he going to be suspended this week, or are we going to?
I don't know why some of those guys just fight it. They you just take your lumps. And go on with it. If you done something wrong, it's not going to be overturned.
The Brady suspension, to me, I don't even really think he did anything wrong, but you just knew that they were coming for him.
Yeah, and what did he ever get suspended for?
Because the PSI on the balls were low.
No. Elliott. What was it? Domestic?
Yeah,
was it domestic? Okay.
Well, he had a bunch of he had a bunch of stupid.
He doesn't have good off the field character.
And we talked about reading that article last time, and I've kind of erased it from my memory. And I mean, he had all this stuff going on. They had footage of him coming out of a dispensary, which is just stupid if you're in that place, and then there's another time he was on camera and he was groping some chick, and then he has domestic dispute, and then there was another incident where he impregnated this. I think she was like a waitress,
Right.
at a high-end bar or something like that, and
Wow.
he paid her off to get an abortion, and she was so distraught that like it just went deep.
You got to think, man. These kids he's 22, 23. What were you doing at 22, 23?
Yeah, but also nobody ever
You know?
said, "Hey, you're going to be a superstar, and here's the keys to our franchise." Nobody ever did that to me either. And if you're the franchise, you almost have to put somebody to protect this guy. You know what I'm saying? You have to.
They
You
did
have
that
to
with
step
Des
in.
Bryant. They did that with Des Bryant. Des Bryant had like a security guy, like for more or less a babysitter.
You need the Josh Hamilton package where somebody just stays with you all the time, and they're like, "Oh, picking
That's a
up a
story.
beer," and they just slap it out of your hand. No,
Right.
no way. So I mean. If you have a guy and you're like, oh, this dude might be a bonehead. I mean, there's other guys. I mean, how often does it actually happen with a quarterback?
Yeah. Like that they're boneheads?
Yeah.
Not very
I
often.
mean, if you have 32 teams, I mean, was it 1, maybe 2 and 32? But with like running backs and stuff, it's like half that.
Because running backs are dime a dozen. Quarterback, to get a good quarterback, that's probably...
Nobody's ever going to convince me. I mean, I value the quarterback more, but I mean, nobody's ever going to convince me that you're going to be able to replace David Johnson. They're not a dime a dozen.
Well, I mean, you're talking about elite guys.
Yeah.
Those are elite guys.
I consider Elliott elite guy. I just don't consider elite mind.
How many elite running backs are there versus elite quarterbacks? There's very few elite quarterbacks compared to other elite.
I bet it's about the same.
I don't think so.
I bet it is.
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't have time to count it.
No, absolutely
but
not.
I bet it's about the same.
How many? There's probably 2 or 3 elite quarterbacks.
Okay,
right
so-
now, elite. Now,
so-
not good or great, but elite quarterbacks. Brady being one. You could say Breeze.
Yeah, even though he has to stand on his tippy toes to see over the line.
Right.
Yeah.
And as much as it pains me to say it, I don't want to say Roethlisberger, but just because of his championship.
Well, what about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, that's what I was about
Aaron
to say.
Rodgers? Yeah. So you got 4.
I mean,
4 elite guys.
but I think that as far as what I consider elite is a quarterback that if he's playing, you're most likely your team's going to be in the playoffs. And I mean, I think there's a lot more than that. I think
that's a great quarterback.
think
I
there's
wouldn't
probably
consider that elite. Elite quarterback will take you all the way to the Super Bowl, and you don't have any question. Like we're going to talk about, playoff runs here lately. You automatically almost want to put New England in there because of his quarterback.
I would almost reverse those. I would consider my elite list to be longer than my great list because there's a lot of really cream of the crop guys, but they're not great. They're never going to be Brady. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Elite, right? Elite then, right?
I mean, I think they could be interchanged, but to me, in my mind, when I hear a great quarterback, I'm like, okay, there's probably 10 of them.
Great quarterback. I mean, you could consider Alex Smith a great quarterback.
I don't think anybody would consider Alex Smith.
I'm just saying. I mean, he's put together a pretty good year this year, and he's taken his team to the playoffs. And at one point, fantasy wise, he was the number 1 quarterback. Of the year.
Let's go ahead and just. I mean, I feel like we've almost beat the fantasy horse to death. So this seems to be a good opportunity to bring up the playoffs. And since you mentioned Alex Smith, I feel like we could start there.
Oh sure, yeah. Well, Alex Smith or Kansas City against Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer that Kansas City's gonna beat him up pretty good.
Where's the seating? So it's actually at Kansas City.
Yeah, it's actually at Kansas City.
There's no way that you're going to be able to make that bet. I mean, we talked about it. I don't consider Alex Smith an elite quarterback. We were talking about the quarterbacks and what they have around them.
Yes.
And to me, I think Alex Smith has a lot of toys around him. I mean, you talk about
got quite a bit.
Hunt, you talk about Kelsey, you talk about Tyreek Hill. There's a lot of guys around him to do things, and their defense isn't that bad.
Right.
I think they've lost a couple key people. We're talking about Marcus Peters. I believe he's hurt and out. And so there's a lot around him there. I think Tennessee's. I don't know if it's a product of their division or what to get them into the playoffs, but I mean they thumped Jacksonville really early on. I mean, so they had some moments this year. I don't think.
And they almost lost to the Browns this year too.
Well, I mean, the Steelers didn't play their players, but they almost lost the Browns. But I don't know. I think that Tennessee's got some good pieces, but obviously they don't match the firepower of Kansas City.
No, not that offensive firepower like you were saying. You got Hunt, Hill, Kelsey.
Yeah, I think that Kansas City's one of those teams that if they're playing right, they can be scary in the playoffs. They can be a scary matchup, especially if you have to go to Kansas City. I mean, the Steelers.
It's a tough place to play.
The Steelers are a perfect example of that. Last year, they went in there and they lost because it was at Kansas City. If it was in the Steelers, they probably would have won. So, I mean, you're talking about the stadium that holds the record for decibels.
The loudest decibels, right?
So,
well, that's debatable. I think that Seattle has broken that. I
don't think they broke it. I think the
seismic activity.
Yeah. But that was when they just trashed New England on Monday Night Football like a couple years ago. That's when it was actually set. So, I think that that's an easy win for them.
Yeah, that's an easy. I think it's an easy pick.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably the easiest.
Yeah.
So that leads us to Jacksonville and Buffalo, right?
Yeah, Buffalo. I think they limped. We were talking about this earlier. And I think they limped into the playoffs. Something major.
I don't see it that way. To me, when I say limped into the playoffs, that means it's a really good team that had a good season that just kind of had a couple game skid leading in there, and because of their record in the regular season.
So then, what would you call Buffalo's?
I don't think anybody had expectations for Buffalo. I mean, if you look at the changeover that they had with their starting quarterback.
Yeah, Buffalo didn't even believe. Buffalo.
Yeah. So right. I mean, to me, I don't think that's limped. I think that's more of a perseverance story. They just by attrition they got themselves in there, and I mean. As far as like limping in, I would look at like the Saints losing to Tampa Bay last week. That's kind of limping in the playoffs.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
To me, Buffalo's just a attrition story. They just were survivors. They overcame a lot.
What's worse at that point? Is a limp in worse or an attrition? I would consider an attrition.
Well, I think
worse.
I don't think so because I think that when you go through that as a team, it brings you a lot closer. Like you're not expected to be there. There's no expectations for you. You kind of got that chip on your shoulder where like everybody's counting us out. There's no way we're gonna win. I think that bonds a team together. I think when you have a good team that kind of limps in the playoffs, like Jacksonville did, where they had a couple poor performances leading into the playoffs, you're like, are we really that good? Are we as great as everybody said we were? Who'd they get trashed by a couple weeks ago? Was it Seattle, the Rams? I think it was the Rams.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's like the week before Christmas.
Yeah. Don't worry about the dog.
it's great.
You might have to get up and love on her.
I might have to.
But you got a team that's everybody said, oh, they're the up and coming team. They got a great defense, blah blah blah, and then you have a couple really bad performances leading the playoffs. That has to get in your mind. You're hosting a playoff game for the first time in a long time. You won the division for the first time in a long time. It's a lot of pressure.
But I know, but you're right, and it talks about experience and them being there. Neither one of these teams have any of that, so that really doesn't come into the equation.
Yeah.
But I think Jacksonville's defense is just I don't think that Buffalo's offense can overcome Jacksonville's defense.
But at the same time, can Jacksonville's offense overcome Buffalo's defense? I think it's going to be a nasty game.
Maybe this will be the ugliest game that we see.
I think it's going to be a nasty game, and I know it's crazy, but I actually lean more towards Buffalo.
I do too.
I think
Tyrrell Taylor's good at not turning over the ball.
He's a good game manager,
yeah,
you would say, and then maybe
I think that's the kind of guy that could beat Jacksonville.
My question is, and hopefully you guys are more well versed on this than me, because I've been. Like I said, I was almost dying at the beginning of the week, so I didn't get to watch a lot of the news. But is McCoy healthy?
He's questionable for the game, but
I'm sure he's going to play.
He's going to play.
That makes a big difference in their offense to have that, to be able to kind of take that pressure off Tyrrell Taylor. But Tyrrell Taylor can make plays with his feet too.
No doubt.
And he's a smart guy. And I think that all of this crazy publicity that the Buffalo Bills got with showing the locker room celebration. All their fans come behind and supporting Andy Dalton's foundations to.
Well, did you see the letter that Buffalo actually sent Cincinnati about
sure did.
Sending them some donuts or something?
Yeah,
some wings. No, they're going to send them Buffalo wings.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I really think the momentum is behind Buffalo right now, and I think that it makes a big difference playing, Tom Brady twice a year and kind of playing in their nasty division, and then Jacksonville. Kind of playing the Colts a couple times and a couple of those.
It's a kind of weak division. But I'm still leaning towards Jacksonville's defense.
I get it.
I'm leaning towards Jacksonville's defense.
I mean,
say defense wins championships.
If you look at it on paper, all the advantages seem to lean towards Jacksonville, but it's just the intangibles that's making me pick Buffalo this week.
Okay.
I just think
the little man.
I think it's going to be like I honestly believe it's going to be like a 12-9 game, 13-10 game, something crazy like that. I don't see it being a type of firefight. I mean, I don't
know, but Jacksonville, they've been known to score in bunches, though. I think that,
Yeah, but usually their bunches are led by their defense. Like it's by defensive turnover. I mean, how many touchdowns?
This is very true.
How many touchdowns does their defense have? I mean, obviously Jacksonville has Fournette. They don't have the biggest tools on offense other than that. I mean, so if the Bills are able to really key in on him and they're able to kind of play man on the wide receivers, it could be a long game for the Jags.
Jacksonville's the second-rated defense. Buffalo's 26th.
Yeah, but how many of those games are they getting torched by Tom Brady and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying?
I get it. It's all about
football, and it
makes a difference.
They're zoning in on it, but I think Buffalo's just a hard-nosed team. I mean, I understand that the defensive numbers may not be there, but I don't think that Jacksonville. What is Jacksonville's offense ranked?
Jacksonville's offense is ranked pretty low.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, but they do have the number one rushing offense.
Yeah, that's true.
So
what's the backup's name? Is it?
And Buffalo's given they're 29th.
Yeah.
In rush defense. Definitely. So
that was my stipulation. I think
that goes to tell the story there with a good young running back and Leonard Fournette. I think that they're probably going to. Blake Bortles, hopefully he'll be the best game manager of the two.
They'll say, "Don't throw the ball."
Exactly, and they'll hand the ball off. They'll hand the ball off to Fournette, hopefully.
Yeah, but once again, I think if you're Buffalo, you have to game plan for that. And like I said, I think if they're able to figure out a game plan to stop, like not even necessarily stop them, but just slow them down to prevent them from causing a 200-yard game or whatever, two touchdowns. I think if you can keep them under like 100 yards, I think you're probably going to give up a touchdown maybe for them.
So that it's Buffalo's defense. I think it really needs to step up. Yeah. Like if the offense can muster 10 to 12 points. I don't think that the defense is going to have to step up as far as you see, because when I look at Jacksonville and I think about offensive weapons, it's not like Kansas City. Yeah, you're going to be in trouble. If you look at the tools that Kansas City has, it's going to be trouble. Yeah. So, I just think coming everywhere. But I think if you look at it, I don't think it's as overwhelming as it may seem. Even though Buffalo doesn't have the best defense, I understand that. I think that Buffalo might have the better offense. I mean, if LaShawn McCoy's healthy and you got Kelvin Benjamin, you got Charles Clay in there. Yeah. That's far more formidable than anything that Jacksonville has. Jacksonville has Fournette, and that's pretty much it.
Charles Clay, how many yards did he get last week? Like 60 or 70?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's had some pretty decent games last few
years. He's a good, steady tight end.
What really derailed Charles Clay in my fantasy with Charles Clay was when they switched the quarterbacks out, because Tyrrell Taylor likes to go to him so much that it's like whenever you switch the quarterbacks out, it obviously makes a big difference, and he doesn't have that guy too that he can. A lot of quarterbacks lean on their tight end when they need like short yardage or whatever.
Yeah,
it may be.
End zone. They don't really use him a lot in end zone, which kind of hurt me in fantasy when I picked him up. But
yeah, so you want to go love on her for a second?
She's fine.
You give her a look.
We get her. Give her a treat.
Put her up in your lap and hug her and put her under the cover. Maybe she's just cold because Jerry keeps it too cold in here.
Hey, it's 65. You're
all right. So before we kind of move on to our games from there, you want to step over the NFC and start with the Saints in Carolina. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
My initial gut, I'm going to be personally pulling for Carolina.
You can pat her. It's not a big deal. Everybody knows she's in here by now.
She's sweetie. She's fine. I'm pulling. I'd like to see Carolina win because I've never been a New Orleans fan. I just don't. I don't know. Just something just doesn't set right. But with that being said, New Orleans offense is just on point.
They got
on point this year.
I think they got Ingram, the most tools of any offense
with
for sure.
Ingram and Kamara. Kamara was a pretty big surprise.
Right.
And like I said before, their biggest improvement was on defense, and that helps them out so much. The way, just how good their offense has always been, but they've never had a decent defense.
Well, and it doesn't take much to improve their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the bottom of the barrel.
They are the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Still?
Let's find out here.
So just even the smallest improvement from where they've been the last 5 years, since they won the last Super Bowl.
Come. She's a mess. You would think that the internet's not working. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
It can be that good still.
They don't have that reputation.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I just don't think it's. I mean, I think their offensive team with playing indoors and everything else, it really lends itself to offense. I mean, you look at the weapons that they have. You're talking about Michael Thomas, Kamara, Ingram, and Drew Brees can make a lot. I mean, Coby Fleener hasn't really made the splash that you might think at tight end. That's something that they've kind of went away from, which is weird because Jimmy Graham was such an integral part.
He was.
Even last year, Fleener I believe he might have had a better year last year as far as what he had going on. So
it has to be the running backs taken away from that, I guess.
Yeah.
Going for that scheme.
I have a friend that's a Saints fan, and he's telling me that they're going to the Super Bowl, and I just think that if they had a little bit higher seed, maybe just like one tick higher, it might be better off for them. But
yeah.
They just, for some reason, it seems like Cam has the Saints number one, and then you kind of look at everything, and it's really hard to beat a team 3 times. I mean, they beat this team pretty easily twice, and you're talking about a third time coming up, and that's got to put a little bit of a chip on their shoulder as well to play well. And I'm kind of leaning towards Carolina as well. I mean, there's no climate in this game whatsoever. If it was in Carolina with the snowstorms and everything that they got, I mean, might be a big difference. But I think it could be a slugfest. I mean, I think, and
you think it's going to be an offensive show?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the games.
They've struggled so much at throwing the ball this year, the last few games. He's my quarterback, but all of my points from him come from fourth quarter into the game, rushing touchdown. I don't know. I'm going with the Saints.
Take her pillow in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a safe pick, but for some reason, just my gut says that, I think the Saints are probably going to pull, I think Carolina's probably going to pull it off. I just think that in watching all of these games, all of these NFC South games are usually shootouts. I mean, you look at just a couple weeks ago when Atlanta and the Saints played, it's always like a pretty big shootout.
Yeah.
And I just think it's very hard to beat a team, especially as convincingly as they beat them the other 2 times. I mean, you look at the history of the Giants and the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots torched the Giants every time they played on the regular season, and then you get to the playoffs, and the Giants are a super team now.
Well, they would say that NFL's a league of parity, so everybody's going to copy what everybody else is doing. So that's probably why it's hard to beat that team over and over again.
I think for me, if they hadn't kind of just got beat down by Tampa Bay, they didn't get beat down, but they got beat by Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's been so horrible all year. I mean,
such a disappointment this year. Such a disappointment.
I mean, I think it's a product of leadership, perhaps, and maybe hard knocks
coaching leadership.
All of it, all of the above.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about bringing in, Deshaun Jackson, paying him all this money, and I mean, what did that get? Though?
I never was.
I mean, it hasn't got him anywhere, no matter where he's played.
Mike Evans didn't do anything this year at all.
Well, I mean, I think you got to contribute that to the lack of running game. I think you got to contribute that to Jameis being hurt a couple weeks. I mean, there's lots of things that you got to contribute that to.
Barber, as of the last few weeks, I mean, he's played a lot better. But I mean, they hadn't really had a set in stone guy, So I mean,
yeah. But I mean, to me, if the Saints were kind of coming in the playoffs and on a much better foot, I think it would be different. But I really don't know what it is. For some reason, I just feel like Cam has their number. I feel like everybody talks crap about Cam, but he's doing it with the least around him of any playoff quarterback. To me,
playoff quarterback, the least around.
I mean, at least Blake Bortles has Leonard Fournette.
I don't know. He's got Jonathan Stewart and McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's been a little bit of a disappointment. You thought,
I
thought he
he's
was
got
going to.
double-digit points for me like every week.
But if you can kind of
yeah.
mesh those two together, then you
Yeah.
probably have Leonard Fournette.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true.
probably.
You're talking about two players making up for one.
I don't.
Two running backs I love though.
They trade away Kelvin Benjamin. Is the tight end even playing? What's his name?
Olsen.
No.
He's not playing. He doesn't have the tight end. I mean, what does he have?
They got that big tall guy.
Funches?
Yeah, Funches. Funches has been playing pretty.
Funches and Bunches.
Yeah, he's been playing all right as of
Yeah,
late,
he's been
too.
playing all right because he's the only guy there to throw it
Yeah.
to. I mean, you're not talking
But he's a
about.
big giant guy and catch the
Yeah.
ball.
He's a tall
I mean,
guy.
Yeah, but he was a big giant guy last year, and I
Yeah,
mean,
and Kelvin Benjamin was another big tall guy too.
well, I don't
I think
know.
McCaffrey's been his number one wide receiver all year.
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
just dumb downs.
Good bailout guy. I mean,
Yeah.
That's why I picked him and Cam Newton up. I was like, Cam Newton's gonna defer to him a lot. You know, their offensive line.
But
has
to me,
never been
you look
that
through
great.
these rosters. There's nobody doing more with less. How many games did they win this year? 10 or 11?
Who?
Yeah.
I
Carolina.
mean, you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and I don't know how they won some of those games. If you sit and watched them, because I watched like a lot of them, and I'm like, they're like, I don't know how. Just like at the very end, they somehow win. And
I mean, that's
Cam
all it takes.
Newton's got
though.
like 8 points, like going into the fourth quarter, and then he somehow like gets 15.
That's all it takes. I mean, all
Yeah.
you gotta do is win. And I mean, I just like I said, I think he's doing more with less. I think that I don't know. My gut just tells me to pick Carolina. Maybe it's because of my hatred of the Saints. I don't know.
I think that's
Maybe the
But
Titans have less.
It's
I think that's what it
counterintuitive because I love Ingram so much and I love
Yeah.
Michael Thomas so much. I think I just don't believe in Drew Brees. I think I've seen him
yeah.
choke so many times that I just don't believe in him. And you know, it's kind of a tough decision for me, but I'm still going with Carolina. If it was outside, especially in any inclement weather, I mean, it would be an easy pick for me to go
I
against.
agree. I agree with you there. I agree with you. I'm going with Carolina over.
Oh, you
No.
changed, you just playing devil's advocate?
But
No, I told you in the very beginning that I'd like
yeah,
to see
Drew
Carolina.
Brees isn't really a choke artist, though.
No.
I mean,
I didn't say he was a
Super
choke
Bowl,
artist. I just said
but
it.
I don't know, like very many times he chokes. I mean, he's a great. I mean, he puts up the numbers every year.
Well,
He's one of the best.
I guess let me
quarterbacks.
ask you this: how many times have you heard Saints Super Bowl, and how many times does it actually happen once?
Once.
That's a lot, though. For most teams, don't have any. You know.
I mean, but whenever you're being touted every year as Super Bowl champions, and everybody's kind of force feeding you the Saints, everybody's saying that they're going to win the division easy. I mean, and like each year,
Well,
it
just goes to
seems
show
like
you
they're
that-
kind of falling back and forth.
Yeah. Well, there goes to show you they're putting together a good team. Whether or not that good team, performs well, obviously they make the playoffs. So
Yeah, I
there's a lot
mean,
of teams
The team
that
from that
haven't made the
division
playoffs.
made the Super Bowl last year and the year before. So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I think David's crushing on the Saints for
I think so.
I like the Panthers better.
his,
Yeah.
his face is turning red.
I like the Panthers better, but I mean the Saints this year just even though that like their defense has improved just a little bit, and now they have Kamara, it makes them a way better team than they've been. Just those two,
Well,
tweaks.
When I
Kamara's
look-
made that team this year.
when I look at these, this is probably the hardest decision on the initial matchups that I have. But I don't know. I just don't believe in a team that can't play defense in the playoffs, and I don't believe in a team that can't go to cold weather and win. And it's 2 strikes against them. I feel like even if they do get past Carolina, they have to go up to Philly. If it's a degree under 30 and there's even an inch of snow, it's a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have the running game at that point. Drew Brees' little tiny hands can hold the football, and that's all you got. But I don't know. I'm making a gut pick. I'm not saying that I hate the Saints. I don't believe in the Saints because I've seen it too many times. I've heard it too many times.
It's a
And
toss.
maybe-
It's a toss up.
Maybe it's because of my friend that tells me every year that the Saints are going to the Super Bowl, and
You just get tired of hearing it.
I just maybe it's just ingrained in me. I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
you-
here we go again.
You say that's the toughest matchup to pick, but I'd have to disagree. I think the LA Atlanta.
Not for me.
I think so. I think so.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but not for me.
just because Atlanta, coming off the Super Bowl hangover, they've got all the pieces that they had last year. If they get firing on all cylinders, they could beat anybody.
But that giant IF has been hanging over
Sure,
their
I get
heads
it.
all year.
Yeah,
I
they
get
don't
it.
have Kyle Shanahan anymore. I think that's like a big reason for their offensive drop off. I mean,
It makes they're the team that you look at and you're like, they finished
On paper,
what?
yeah.
They
Yeah, on paper they
You know,
on paper
how
they
are
look good.
how are we here?
Yeah.
But I mean, even though it's in LA, there's going to be 26, 27 people in the stands.
You need more Atlanta fans there than there are
Yeah.
Rams fans.
And you have everything going against them. I think that LA may house them. I think it may be a ransack.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I mean, you look at
But I mean, I think this is more of a toss up than the Carolina and New Orleans, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I think that the Rams defense makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a place that, you know, they have so much young talent on the other side of football, and then you're talking about this side of football. You got Goff, who's so drastically improved. You got Gurley, who's an MVP candidate, who can catch the ball, who can run the ball, who had 2,000 all-purpose yards. I mean, he probably led the league in touchdowns too, from running back position. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you look at all this stuff. The only thing he didn't win was the rushing title, I think. But you look at all this stuff on paper, and you're like, he has all these weapons. Only thing that holds the Rams back is the receiving core. I mean, if they had, you know, even one wide receiver is the level of some of these guys that we've already talked about today. I mean, you're talking about a wipeout. I mean, Sammy Watkins went over there.
Sammy Watkins.
What has he done?
He's not done anything. Yeah. Is that Sammy Watkins or is that Jared Goff or is that the offense?
I don't know. I mean, but they keep winning. They keep beating teams by a lot that they shouldn't.
Because Gurley beats them.
Gurley can't do it all, man.
He has been, but he has been. That's what I'm saying. He has been doing it all.
He definitely puts a hurting on them, but I mean, you got the defense protecting them because you're not talking about just winning a close game. I mean, a lot of these teams that you look at in the NFC that are really good, that are in these playoffs, even in the AFC, they're in the playoffs. I mean, you're talking about the Rams. They beat the Jaguars by double digits. They beat the Saints by double digits. I mean, all these teams. I think they. I'm not sure if they played. They didn't play Atlanta.
No.
I can't remember who else that they beat by double digits. It was a really impressive win just recently. But to me, that's an easy pick. I'm going with the Rams as a no-brainer personally. I think that Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta they had all year to get it together. Why would they get it together now?
It's starting to come together now, though. But I'd have to go with LA.
Yeah, no, I'd go. I'm definitely going with LA, but I think that it's going to be a lot closer game than most people think.
I would give LA a double digit. I would say my over under would be 10.
You think that the points difference is over under 10? I think that game will probably be a closer game than the New Orleans Carolina game.
So you think Carolina's going to beat?
No, I'm just saying. I think the point spread.
You're just saying
closer.
You're just giving a generalization.
Yeah,
but what if you had to stick with your pick and you say Carolina is going to beat them more than LA? That's what you're saying when I hear that. If you can be general and say this point spread of this game, but I'm talking about go with your picks and make that point spread.
So Carolina will beat New Orleans by more than what LA will beat Atlanta.
Yes, that's what you're saying.
I guess it would be my bold prediction.
You're a bold
prediction.
Think you're crazy.
We'll see.
I think it'll be a close game. I think that the Saints will come down to the line and it'll probably be 24, 27, 24, something like that. And they'll do something stupid because of Drew Brees' tiny hands and can't see over his line.
Tippy-toeing.
Yeah, and they'll give the ball to Cam, and Cam will crush their hopes. I think it'll be 3 to 4 point game.
So you think
the Rams will probably win by about 10. Yeah, I think the closest game out of all these is going to be Buffalo Jacksonville, and I could be.
Well, I think that's going to be the lowest scoring game for sure.
I mean, I literally think it could be a 7-6 game.
6-3.
I think it's gonna be brutal. They'll come out and they'll be like 50 to 52 or something.
It'll be the highest score game of all.
All right, so let's stick with the NFC.
Yeah.
And let's move on into the divisional round here.
Yeah.
And so, who'd you have? You had the Saints.
Yeah.
So you got the Saints Philadelphia matchup. What's your take on that?
Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, Philadelphia. I mean, if Wentz was still there, then maybe I would say, but I think like 6 or 7 episodes ago, it was like Saints are going to be in the Super Bowl.
So you're just sticking with it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be hard. I think if the Panthers win too, the Panthers will beat the Eagles too. So I mean, I think the winner of that game is going to beat the Eagles.
It's sad to say, man, but I'm not sure about Philadelphia.
they're just. I don't think it's sad.
That is, well, it's sad for me because I'm an Eagles fan.
Well, you wouldn't be making that statement though if Wentz was still healthy.
Oh, absolutely not. If Wentz was healthy, I would have them probably in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I think they
agree
were
with
that they were that good
for
this
sure.
year. They were definitely that
And
good. this year.
I agree with that as well. I think that weather plays a difference in this game. I think that my pick Carolina going Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be probably brutally cold. I think there might be snow or anything else going on. And I think it plays a big difference. And I think Philadelphia is able to do what they've done all year, which is beat teams that they shouldn't, despite losing Carson Wentz. And they go on to the NFC Championship.
Because Foles could give you 5 touchdowns. He can give you 5 interceptions. I mean, you just don't know what he's going to get. But he has that ability to to get the team to where they need to be.
He has quite a few offensive weapons around him as well.
Absolutely.
And that plays a big difference, especially when you have defenses that aren't, as dominant as Carolina and the Saints want to be. I mean, they're not exactly dominant defenses, and so they're going up into probably inclement weather. They've got a team that's got, several good running backs.
Yep.
They've got Alshon Jeffrey. They've got Zach Ertz. They've got a lot of players around them to try to make some plays there.
So the divisional playoffs is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So whenever you upload this, it'll probably be that weekend.
Yeah, I might even upload this one before I do 13. Who knows?
Yeah.
But just to have our
Just
to have our picks out there.
Just have our picks out there.
Our 13's kind of near and dear to my heart. We put a lot of work into it, so I don't want to release it, over the weekend where people are going to be concentrating on football and everything else.
Right, I got you.
And so I may go home and start this one
later.
now and just to switch it up a little bit. Your
I'm
pick.
sticking with Philadelphia. I'd like to see Foles, take a hold of that team and actually put together a good game.
Yeah.
Going forward past that game, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to pick Philly past that game.
Yeah. So kind of moving down.
Mhm.
Did you make an Atlanta pick?
Yeah.
Who'd you say?
LA.
Okay, so
Yeah, we all say LA.
We got LA and Minnesota now, and what's your thoughts on that?
Vikings
Vikings.
by 50 touchdowns.
50
Wow, just playing.
Wow.
But I think it'll be an easy win for the Vikings.
Easy win.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be that easy. I mean, I think that defense, it's going to be a matchup of a great offense against a great defense, and we'll see who comes out on top. I'm going to be personally pulling for the Rams, but I think Minnesota's defense is probably going to stop them.
Minnesota's got a decent offense too, though. So I mean, that's
I totally agree with you. Case Keenum has surprised.
Yeah, he's surprised
Now,
me.
Sam Bradford is supposed to be back. I think that Keenum is going to stay. He's got to stay
You
the
have
starter.
to, yeah,
He's
you
got to
have
stay the starter.
It's interesting. I don't know what they do. I watched Keenum play a lot last year.
You're the coach of Minnesota.
Mhm.
Your decision. Who do you put in that position?
Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean,
How about that? How about that?
How about that? No, between the three, then
Teddy Bridgewater.
You would put Bridgewater. in.
isn't he active now?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
active.
that's what I thought.
I
Yeah.
believe in Teddy Bridgewater. I do not believe
So-
in Case Keenum.
So Case Keenum, who's carried this team, who has not carried them, but he's helped them get to where they need to be.
You slap him on the ass and you go, "You did your job, buddy. Thanks a lot. Here's you a good bonus." We're going with Teddy Bridgewater. He's our guy. He's our franchise quarterback. This is the playoffs. It's big boy time.
Imagine having 3 good quarterbacks.
But
I mean, but
to a guy who hadn't played in
But
2 years.
We're looking at it. We're looking at it in a weird way though, because we're saying 3 good quarterbacks. I watched Case Keenum play last year, and if you talk about beyond this, is this even a conversation?
People improve.
No,
though.
absolutely
He hasn't
not.
had a lot of NFL.
I don't
type
think he's a
starting
bad
experience.
quarterback. I think he's a very good backup quarterback. I don't
I
think
don't
he's a very
disagree
good.
with you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
To me, in that equation, to be honest with you, I think Keenum is probably third.
in
Yes.
that
But
depth
Bridgewater
chart.
may not even be able to play.
That's true. But I mean, we're talking about an ideal situation.
See, I would
All
put
3 of
Keenum
them.
first, and I would say trade. Even though Bradford had like the highest completion last
Well,
year, but he's throwing like
You guys are going to
2-yard
see.
passes.
You guys are going to see. But I mean, they said that, and then he comes out this year and he torches everybody. He throws 5 touchdown passes. What is it? 400, 500 yards first game, and then he gets hurt, and that's what derails it all. And that, once again, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
But then again, next year he's going to get hurt again.
Well, I'm not saying that. I think Teddy Bridgewater is the future of the Vikings. I don't think that either one of these guys are. And so, if you're asking me if a perfect scenario, all three of them are healthy, I'm going to start Teddy Bridgewater every time.
If Case Keenum's not on that team, Minnesota don't make. They wouldn't make the playoffs.
But that's what I'm saying. He's a guy that had to step up. He did his job. In my opinion, you have to go away from that, and you're going to see whenever they play in a couple of weeks, and the Rams beat the Vikings by double digits.
So you're going Rams.
Yeah, I think the Vikings offense is better than, I think that the Rams offense is better than the Vikings, and I think that the Rams defense is a very good defense, and it's going to kind of mitigate whatever offense that Case Keenum can try to put up.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Because a lot of the success the Vikings have had has been, a lot of rushing.
So LA's going to be going out to Minnesota.
Yep.
Doesn't
play a factor because it's indoors.
No, I get that, but still,
if it was outdoors, I would probably be going with the Vikings. I mean, I think it's great for the city of Minnesota. I just don't. It's playoff time, and I think the Rams have enough young talent on both sides of the ball.
The state of Minnesota.
What?
The city.
That's
Minnesota.
Sorry, David. I told you I need more coffee, man. What are you trying to say? But I feel like the city of Minnesota and the Vikings need a lift, and I mean I feel like that they've provided that this year. They got that big new stadium. Everything is going right for them. But at the same time, I feel like the Rams have enough good pieces on both sides of the football, and I think they're built for the playoffs.
I think that Minnesota is probably going to stop their offense. However, I will say
their offense.
Yes.
Like they're not going to score any points.
No. I mean, they're not going to put up. I wouldn't think they would put up more than 3 touchdowns and a field goal. They're not going to score more than 24 points. I wouldn't think.
I mean, that's a big 24 points is a lot in the playoffs.
Not for in the playoffs, yeah, but not for the Rams. I wouldn't think.
Okay, so if you're telling me if they're not going to score more than 24 points, if you're giving them a 24-point cushion, I'm going to take that all day against the Vikings. I can't see the Vikings putting up 24 points in the playoffs against the Rams defense on an indoor field with climate controlled. Outdoors, different story.
Different story.
You got an LA team coming to Minnesota. I bet they're thinking about opening that roof right now.
Or even snowing.
Just open the roof.
You should play any outside games unless it's snowing. Those are the best games.
I think that the indoor stadiums. I think that everybody should just go to them because you're getting the best football you can, and by having the weather, you're giving a great disadvantage.
I think that Minnesota should install artificial snow.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm taking Minnesota. Yeah. So let's stay on this side.
Yeah.
What is your official pick? Because I think that you talked all this crap and you're still going to go with the Rams.
No. As a fan favorite, I want to see the Rams continue because I like the young offense. I like Jared Goff. I like Todd Gurley. He's been tremendous this year compared to his first 2 disappointing, from a fantasy perspective anyway, 2 disappointing years, which, that's all, based on that coach, Fisher, that was horrible. But I'm gonna go with Minnesota here.
So you guys both got Minnesota.
I got Minnesota.
Okay, so now you got Minnesota and Philadelphia in the NFC Championship, and what's your thoughts on that?
You go Minnesota over Philly because I don't think Foles can put together a couple of games.
Yeah,
I want to see him. Like my fan favorite, I'd like to see Philadelphia and the Rams. In the conference championship.
Just because it's Minnesota, you don't think weather will play into it at all, being up in Philly?
No, not at all.
Just because it's
I don't
Minnesota.
think so. Yeah, because it's a team that normally plays in it, but this year it's taken out of the equation.
And you got your running back Latavius Murray, who
it depends on what the weather.
Used to playing in Oakland weather too.
It could be cold and it could be 20, 30 degrees. It could be warm.
It's January in Philly. It's gonna be cold.
It's true, but
it's gonna be cold.
So yeah, I got probably got Minnesota over Philadelphia over that at that point.
And so who's your NFC championship?
Going back to 2009, it'll be the Saints and the Vikings.
Oh.
Yeah. And a rematch of the 2009 one of the
Without
rare
Brett Favre.
games
And who wins?
with the old gunslinger. That's actually a really hard one. Like I'd have to, if I had to go out, I would say the Vikings. Yeah, that's probably my pick. I'd say the Vikings and
Vikings over Saints.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Rams.
You got Rams.
Yep.
You get the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I like it. I'm pulling for them.
I think
I'll pull against my own.
one thing which I preach all the time is their downfall, but the difference is they have Todd Gurley, and the one thing is that they got to go play in cold weather. An LA team come play in cold weather, it's not going to be good, but you got Todd Gurley, so that makes a big difference.
But if New Orleans makes it out there, they won't be playing in cold weather.
Yeah, well, if unicorns start flying tomorrow, then
I don't see New Orleans making it that far.
no, I don't think they're a team built for the playoffs. I think they're a good regular season team in their current setup.
Right.
If they lock down their defense to go with that offense, it's a scary team. But you're talking about a warm weather team that's going to have to play in cold weather no matter what. And I'm not buying it.
So you being I don't want to say a homer, but I know you really love Brady in New England. Who do you have against, go back to the AFC, New England versus Kansas City?
I said it in the last podcast, and I'll say it again. There's certainties in life, and that's death, taxes, and the Patriots win. So that's my answer.
So
I think
we don't
it's
even have to discuss this.
No, it's a scary matchup.
Yeah.
But I think that we saw a similar matchup last year, and you saw the result.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously Kansas City has more firepower with Kareem Hunt this year.
Yep.
But you're talking about coming to New England. New England's had 2 weeks to prepare for you.
Yeah.
They've seen you frequently. You embarrassed them early on in the season. That's all the fire that Belichick needs. They're going to put a game plan together, and
you don't think any of this news of the whole? What
me and David talked about it, and it's about Garoppolo. It's like Garoppolo happened forever ago.
About Garoppolo.
Yeah,
So fill me in. I don't know. I don't know the
There's like an element to the story that there's a rift between Belichick and Brady, and that he was grooming Garoppolo and he wanted to keep him, and then there's organizational rift and there's
so Kraft is upset.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. Like I didn't read the whole story.
I read the headline. I just read the headline.
I just think that I think that this type of stuff comes out. Like David said, they were writing stories about Brady being done last year. I think this stuff comes out almost every year about the Patriots. You're talking about the best team in football with MVP playing for them, and they're still writing these stories. If that's the case and this rift is so bad, they're still the best team in football. They still have the MVP. That's pretty good right there. You look at the Lakers, what happened to them, and they were a shadow of themselves from the year before when they had Kobe and Shaq going on. So I think it's a lot of hot air. I think it's probably somebody that's wrote it it's probably a Pittsburgh fan or something like that. It probably came from the Pittsburgh Gazette.
It might have been.
But like I said, the Chiefs embarrassed them early on the year. It really put a a focus on how bad their defense was to start the year, and it was really bad. They've corrected the ship. Meanwhile, Kansas City has been up and down. Stumbled so much. One game, Alex Smith and the offense looks like they're world breakers, and the next game they look like they couldn't beat the Browns. So you really never know what you're going to get with them. I feel like Kansas City is a good team. Kansas City is a scary matchup, but you're talking about Bill Belichick and the Patriots home with 2 weeks to prepare for you.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yeah, and you're talking about New England weather right now, and it's a blizzard right now. That offense is pretty mitigated whenever you're talking about coming up there and playing in that. Kareem Hunt will be over there shivering, and Tyreek Hill will be absent like he is most weeks.
Frozen.
Travis Kelce will be. You think he's doing the robot, but he's really just his joints are frozen up like 10 man. So
yeah, with New England's history and their preparation, their history for preparation. There's probably no question. Although I will be pulling against them.
I understand that.
I will be pulling against them. Just topple the regimes of New England and Pittsburgh.
But it's hard to root against professionalism like that, and a guy that's
I totally agree.
Works so hard and Brady and everything else. But I don't feel like, especially if there's weather, I don't feel like Brady's going to be a big focus this game. I feel like it's going to be mostly around the run scheme.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Especially if there's snow on the ground. You're talking about a team that uses castaways from other teams, and the next
Yeah.
thing you know, like LeGarrette Blount, they're leading the leading touchdowns last year, whatever it may be. They plug in Deion Lewis, whoever it is, James White, Super Bowl.
They've got a knack for finding, the right spot for the
even
right
Rex
people.
Burkhead. Like
Yeah,
I said before the
Burkhead,
season started, I was like, he's going to be awesome. I got him my last pick,
Yeah.
and then he got hurt. But, I mean, the games he was playing in,
Yeah.
did pretty well.
So they're going to be without him, right?
Yeah, but they still got White
And Lewis. Deion Lewis, yeah.
and what's the other Gillisley.
Oh, that's right. Mike Gillisley. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. And then you still got Gronk, who's relatively healthy. He's mostly made out of adamantium at this point.
He is. I'm telling you.
He's still relatively healthy. You still got Brandon Cooks. I mean, there's still a lot of good pieces. It's not as good as it could be if they had Edelman or what's the other little guy's name? Amendola.
Yeah.
So
Cooks was disappointing this year.
And what's the other guy that hurt his shoulder? He was like the number one receiver. Another receiver had hurt this year. The taller white guy that kind of plays down the field.
It escapes me.
I could probably. Well,
But
no.
Amendola was the taller one.
At
They all look the
5'7".
same to me.
No, it's the guy that he's like number one receiver for like 4 or 5 weeks, and then he got hurt. He hurt his shoulder. He's in the
Hogan?
cast-off guy. Hogan. Nailed it.
Hogan. Yep.
So I mean, and
I told you to pick him up too.
Yeah. Well, that was my first waiver wire pickup.
Yeah.
So, but he should be back and healthy. He hasn't played much the last 4 or 5 weeks, and so he should be back healthy. But I really think it's going to focus on the run game and
So New England,
New England.
no question.
I New England.
I mean, I'm not saying no question. I think Kansas City is a scary team.
I would say no question.
Well,
I don't like New England. I don't like Brady. I'll be rooting for the Chiefs, but
and
I'll be pulling for him.
so you have Jacksonville and Pittsburgh in this game. So what is your
Pittsburgh.
easy?
Pittsburgh.
How much time we got left?
They're not going to.
let's see. We're at an hour and 10 minutes, so we got like
We've
We got
got
20 minutes. We're good.
yeah.
because Jacksonville just beat them. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to let that happen again.
Jacksonville beat Pittsburgh.
Pretty sure, yeah.
I didn't even know they played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, yeah. I think Pittsburgh overcomes that tough defense.
I think Pittsburgh is not as good as they should be on paper. I think maybe it's defensive shortcomings. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I can't really put it together.
Well, ever since Ryan Shazier went out,
Yeah, that's
they've
true.
they've had a problem with stopping the run.
But even their offense, I mean, has been plagued by a lot of injuries. It's been really inconsistent. I mean, there's been a lot going on with that. They're probably going to be full strength at that point. I'm sure Le'Veon Bell will be back, Antonio Brown will be back. I think I have Buffalo and Pittsburgh, and I think it's an easy double-digit win for Pittsburgh.
I think it's definitely over Buffalo.
Who did you have?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Oh,
and who, though?
Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
Pittsburgh and Buffalo. We have Buffalo
Yeah,
together, and you Pittsburgh
Oh,
easy.
so I went
Pittsburgh,
out on a limb.
obviously.
I'm going with Jacksonville. I like it.
Well, Pittsburgh.
I don't know if that's going on a limb, picking a division winner, but
Well,
The last couple of years, they
think
haven't
we
came
might
into
be
the
right.
playoffs with everybody healthy, and this year now they have Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and come in.
They've
I mean,
actually got all their pieces.
Yeah,
together.
yeah. So I mean, it's
Very rarely have they had all their pieces
Yeah.
together
Well,
on the field at the same time.
it's a big advantage for them this year to be
Yeah.
playing at home too. Last
Yeah.
year they had to go to Kansas
Yeah.
City, so
Right.
it's a big deal to be playing at home.
the
But
year before that was the worst football game ever when they beat the Bengals.
I just
Where the Bengals beat themselves.
yeah.
I just look at Pittsburgh and they're just not as good as what I think they should be. I mean, they were highly touted coming into the year. They were a lot of people's picks, and they've been pretty inconsistent. They've had a lot of flub games. I mean, you look at the scores of some of their games, and they're barely beating interdivision opponent. I know that their division's hard,
Yeah.
but they're barely beating the opponents in their own division even. And I just don't. I don't know. I'm not.
They traditionally play the Bengals close every game though, and then the Ravens too always.
I think at some point, and I know they've won 2 Super Bowls, but it's been a while at this point. But I just think that at some point you have to overcome that. I mean, in my opinion, the Patriots aren't one of the best teams, in their history in the last couple of years. I think that they've had a lot better teams. But you look at their division play, when they play Buffalo, when they play the Jets, which is teams that they traditionally play close as well.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
Buffalo being a playoff team, and they were beating Buffalo and holding them to 13 points. And I mean, Tom Brady's handing the ball off for most of the fourth quarter. I mean, I just think that at some point in time, to be a great Super Bowl team, you have to kind of step above beating the Bengals, who won 5 games by 3 points or whatever it may be.
Right.
Even though you're playing kind of backups, you're still kind of on the brink against losing the Browns. I mean, there has to be something in the mentality
to click
to step up.
I don't think the Browns forever in. There's never a point in that game where I thought, oh yeah, they're going to win.
I thought they were going to win.
Never.
I thought they were going to win.
You thought the Browns were going to win?
I thought when they got the ball back, they were going to win, and then
it's the Browns.
Coleman.
They don't win.
Coleman's looking at the football and somehow goes right by.
I knew that was going to happen before it happened. I videotaped it on Instagram just because I knew it was going to happen. Just so I could.
Well, the funny thing to me is if you look at where that play stopped and you stop where Deshaun Watson was, he was like a step away from getting the yard. Fake the ball, tuck it, get the first down.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever the guys are.
Big talent dip.
Very big talent.
So we unanimously have New England and the Steelers.
I know, and I hate that. I really hate that. I hate that more than anything.
That's
those two teams. I don't.
My least 2 favorite NFL teams of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're always there. I want to see somebody different. Who I'd like to see come out of that division would be Jacksonville and Kansas City. That's what I would like to see. Will that happen? Probably not. I probably have a better chance of winning the Mega Millions or Powerball this weekend.
Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady could be driving the stadium and hit each other and put each other in the hospital, and then that could lead the way into.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm just giving you scenarios.
Tyrrell, Super Bowl MVP.
I don't know why you're yelling at me.
So that leaves us with New England and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Barf, but
What's your thoughts?
I just don't. I just can't get over how well New England prepares for everything. I mean, they are the most well prepared, most professional team in football, and that goes a long way, even when you don't have the talent that Pittsburgh does. They don't have the talent that Pittsburgh does, but Belichick and Brady, they know teams, they know defenses. They've had plenty. I'm sure that I know they're probably not looking too far ahead, but they know that they're probably going to end up against Pittsburgh. So I think that New England prevails.
Yeah. Well, let's get David's.
So you're going to save yours for last?
Yeah, the last game that the Steelers lost was to the Patriots, and it was on a bad call.
You think that's going to weigh on them?
At Pittsburgh, it was at Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I think the Steelers, they're not going to beat the Steelers twice. So I had the Steelers going on there.
I like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it. If I had to pick one I like more, I'd pick the Patriots over the Steelers. The Steelers suck. Everybody that likes the Steelers suck. I hope they send me hate mail tonight. I hate all those bandwagon people. I hate them all.
The Steelers are my least favorite team in football, but at the same time, they have a lot of talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. When I looked at the Patriots' schedule, I counted at the Steelers as a loss. So, I mean, to me, the Patriots already have a leg up. If this game came down to the Patriots at the Steelers this year, I'll probably go with the Steelers. But because it's at New England, I'm definitely riding with New England.
You think it's that close that home field advantage sways it?
I think it'll probably be almost a mirror image of the same game.
That was a good game, too.
I think that it could probably be like a 27-24 game again. I think it's going to be very close. Yeah. But I think, like you said, preparation and home field advantage plays a big factor into it.
And bad calls.
How close are they? How close are those stadiums? How close is New England to Pittsburgh?
I don't know either.
It's got to be pretty close.
Foxborough to Pittsburgh. I don't know.
It's probably pretty close.
Pretty close.
But I mean, you're coming into the defending champion's house. You're coming into a team that has pretty much owned you in the playoffs. I mean, that's a lot of factors to overcome. I don't care how good your offense is. The Patriots are still going to put up points.
So that leaves us with New England and Minnesota.
New England and the Rams for me.
New England and Minnesota.
Steelers and Minnesota.
Steelers and Minnesota. Okay, that's right.
So
oh, wow. We all got 3. Yeah, okay.
Who's your Super Bowl champions?
That's tough. That's really tough. Who I want to win out of those two, I'd like to say Minnesota, but as much as I hate to say it, I think New England. Believe me, that sickens me that this is actually being recorded and it's going to be put out there that I'm saying this. But as much as I despise them, but admire them at the same time.
Yeah, I understand.
So yes, I'm going to go with New England over Minnesota.
Dave?
Pittsburgh over Minnesota.
Cannot give them another championship.
No.
He talks about how much he hates them, and then he picks them.
It's the eye test, man. It's eye test.
It's the eye test. You're buying the lie.
Exactly. Yeah,
you're buying the lie. You're picking I mean, I understand
if
their
that's the
offensive
case,
great,
yeah.
but you're picking a team that doesn't have a defense.
Yeah, they haven't lost. Name
their opponents. Bengals, Browns,
Ravens.
Right.
Let's see.
Name the top 5 team in that.
All right, we'll go through.
I'm talking about after they lost the Patriots. Talking about the win streak.
I mean, they had a win streak before then. There's only been one game since then. They played the Texans, so just blew them out, and the Browns.
I mean, to me, I would rather see the Patriots lose to Kansas City than lose to the Steelers at home in the AFC Championship. I dealt with that a couple years ago when they lost to Baltimore, and I'm still sick of it to this day. I think Baltimore in that scenario had a much better defense, and of course they went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think the Patriots, like I said, the home field advantage makes a big difference. I had the Rams going to the Super Bowl, and I think it's an easy win for the Patriots. I think the Rams are too young. I think they'll be. I think it could be. I don't think it'd be like last year whenever they jump out to the big league. I think the Patriots will be prepared for everything this year. I think that Atlanta obviously has a much better offense last year than what the Rams do coming into this year. I think they'll put a game plan together for Todd Gurley. I think they'll make Jared Goff win the game, and I don't think he can at this point. So I have Patriots as
That's a good scenario. I like
back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and you heard it here first. I think Tom Brady rides in the sunset.
No.
I think it's time.
He's going to play till he's 60.
But why?
I don't know. I'm not Tom Brady. He's just never going to stop. He's never going to stop.
I think it's time.
It very well may be. I don't want to see that happen though, because you like to see.
There was a couple times this year.
I'd like to see Tom Brady in another uniform before he retires, just like all the other greats, like Montana, Favre,
I don't think it'll happen.
All those guys.
I think he's the Kobe.
I got a prediction for you. Roethlisberger retires. There's a rift in New England. Brady goes to Pittsburgh.
Oh man! Could you imagine? Oh no!
You will never see another podcast again because I'll be locked in a room. But I just think it's time. I remember watching Aikman play and being in awe of the things that he did, and then seeing the head trauma that he took and watching him hang on there for a long time. And there was times this year where Brady was banged up. He would be coming out of the pocket and he'd be taking a lot of hits, and it literally pained me to watch.
You think that he's beat up that bad? I don't think he's beat up that bad.
No, he seems like a perfect, like the way he walks and
he
there's
has
no
so
way.
much tape on those ankles.
There's no way that you play that
so
long.
much tape on his ankles that he can't walk.
Let's backtrack.
He can't run.
Let's backtrack for a second because I forgot one of my major points.
Oh yeah.
I think that one of the biggest difference in the Patriots going in the playoffs is that they have added Harrison, and I think it's a big deal.
You think so?
I think it's a big deal because when you have a defense that can get to the quarterback, and you have a guy that's coming in against Pittsburgh, he's got a chip on his shoulder about it.
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about
He knows all the
that.
schemes.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
practiced
right.
against them. It's going to make a big difference. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't the MVP of that game.
I wonder if that's why they signed him, just to get insider information.
I'm sure it's why.
Belichick would never do that.
So I can't film you?
But,
I can't cheat?
I mean, I really think that I think that Harrison is the anchor of their defense. I think it's something that they greatly needed. After I always do this on camera. I always forget names, but after New England lost their middle linebacker, the dude that's just such a big factor into their Super Bowl win and everything last year, But I hate when I do that. I'm sorry.
Hightower wasn't.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure, man.
Yeah.
You're putting me on the spot here, bad.
Yeah, that's okay.
But,
I think it was Hightower.
Yeah, I think you're right. It sounds right. But I think he really anchors their defense, and I think it gives their defense a big confidence boost and other thing, get to the quarterback, and I think that makes a difference in New England going
throughout the playoffs.
Throughout the playoffs.
And gives them that extra edge against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and not only Pittsburgh, but also with the Chiefs. You're getting them to Alex Smith, and he's having to kind of hand off the ball quicker because he worries if he drops back, he can't use Kelsey and Hill. I feel like they're going to target in on.
But Hill has he gets those short passes and turns them into long turns them into long plays.
Yeah, and you know how
Alex Smith's not a down the field passer anyway.
It's funny because I think that Kelsey and Hill have the same thing going on as far as how you stop that. You punch them in the mouth. They're front runner dudes.
You think so?
Yeah, they're not tough, gritty dudes.
Yeah, Devontae Hightower.
Yep.
That's who that is. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they lost him, and that's just a long list of the Patriots' injuries. Supposedly Belichick and Brady and Kraft all hate each other, yet they're still here. And
this is just a recent thing.
I mean, I think that Harrison could have 3 or 4 sacks against Pittsburgh.
Ooh, but Pittsburgh, they got rid of him. Well, they've got a better version of him and T.J. Watt. He's really good. He's up and coming.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Pittsburgh. We're talking about, I mean,
you're talking about him against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean,
him against New England.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I understand that against New England. New England always has line problems, but I'm talking about for New England to anchor their defense. It makes a big difference for them because New England's going to score points on the Steelers. There's no question about it.
Regardless if he knows the schemes and the plays, since he's just now getting there, I'm sure he does because he studied New England.
He's going to be yelling what they're going to be doing before they even snap the ball.
But even those other guys on New England's team is going to look to Harrison as a leader.
Yep.
You know, even though he's not really been on that team, he's not a leader on that team. They're going to look to him because of his experience.
And if they screw up, you know, kind of like Brady does on offense, he gets in people's face. If they screw up, James Harrison's going to get in that ass.
Yeah, regardless if he's been there, however long he's been there.
So, both have Patriots, Steelers. So
let me ask you this.
I think that's pretty safe picks because I think they're the 2 best teams in football.
Let me ask you this. Out of all the teams, being non-practical, who would you like to see in there?
If it's not the Patriots, I would love to see the Rams win the Super Bowl.
Rams against.
Yeah, and I think the worst part about it, Rams against Steelers. I mean, it's going to be the Patriots or Steelers.
No, I'm saying, who would you like to see in there? Just
I think it would be really cool
as a fan favorite.
Oh man, I don't know. That's hard to say.
That's pretty. I'd say Bills, Panthers.
Oh wow.
Bills and Panthers. I would say maybe Rams and Bills. That'd be pretty cool for football, but it'd be the lowest rated Super Bowl.
I would say so. I was going for even something you would like to see, but even feasible. That's not even feasible.
I mean, I don't think that there's anything. I don't think there's anything feasible in the AFC other than the Patriots and the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe Kansas City's the next best.
That's what I was going to say. The Kansas City. I'd like to see Kansas City and the Rams. Yeah. That would be my 2 picks.
It'd be pretty low rated too. Pretty bad. Well, Kansas City's probably a better sports market than LA. I think that's the biggest thing about this. I really believe that the Rams are going to be right there at the top, and St. Louis doesn't have them anymore. I think it just sucks for St. Louis.
But the market's not there for the Rams. But if the Rams got there would be so many bandwagon fans.
Nothing sucks for St. Louis. They still at the Cardinals.
I hate the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Oakland's going to be moving with their new coach. I don't know. Have they actually officially announced that?
I don't think it's officially.
10-year, $100 million.
Yeah.
$10 million a year.
I said $10 million a year. He's not even making as much as Saban, and he looked it up, and he's not.
Saban makes $11 million.
11.5.
Yeah.
11.5.
Well, he's got to get a slice of the pie, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure that's probably somewhere in that contract where he gets a slice of the pie.
Yeah, I think they're talking about he might get ownership.
Well, you take my team to the Super Bowl. We'll give you a percentage of the team.
We're almost at 90. We're at 88 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Sounds good. Yep.
But I really appreciate you being on here again.
Absolutely, man.
We'll talk smack about our picks, I'm sure, and I hope we're right. I hope we're right in the Patriots win.
I should have jotted my picks down.
It may be the end of me watching. I don't think I can watch Pittsburgh raise another.
No, none of us can.
I don't think I can watch them.
They got 6, right?
That sounds right.
It's horrible.
Them the Cowboys, I think. Cowboys? No, Cowboys just at 5.
Cowboys in New England's tied with 5. They got 6. We definitely cannot see that.
Well, you're right. Maybe Brady shouldn't retire. Maybe we should get one more. Go ahead and go out with the leading franchise as well. So
maybe so.
No other comments? Nothing good?
No other comments. Nothing good.
Okay. Well,
Good
I was
stuff.
hoping we'd get to dive into conspiracy theories. But
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
just
we
just a
talked
casual
in the second
conversation.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next
Maybe
one.
I'll ride out for the second.
Okay,
one,
definitely.
If I can make it.
That's going to be podcast 20.
23. I thought it was 23.
No. What do we?
26.
26.
26. Is there
13.
something? Is there something about? Is it a multiple of 13? I
Yeah.
guess?
We're just going to go over 13.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. That works.
But it got way weird a couple times the last one, so I think I might need 13 podcasts in between. So, but I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man.
You know, it's sucked to make the trip out here in the cold, but you know the things
I appreciate
things
you
you
doing
do for love.
right.
So,
I
but-
appreciate that very much.
Yeah, we'll see how this all pans out. We may look like a couple idiots in a couple weeks, but
Maybe
I
we
don't-
could look like geniuses and
maybe,
Gooners.
especially me and him with the Buffalo pick, and me with the Rams Super Bowl pick. How about that?
I'd like to see them. I'm pulling for them.
I wore a Rams
I'll
hat
be-
the other day too.
Did you really?
Yeah, was that the Conspiracy Theory podcast?
Might have been the one for it.
I don't know. I think it was a conspiracy
I
theory.
don't remember. I don't
I do
remember.
like the new Rams. Keeping the white stripe on the white horn.
I have
I
a
like
I
it
haven't
better
seen
than the
that. I
gold
have to
one.
check that out.
I have a family member that lives in LA, and they brought me a Rams hat when
Oh,
I came.
cool.
So
So it's like official then, since it came from LA,
yeah, oh yeah, it smells like LA. It smells like smog
right?
and Starbucks and anyways.
Tan lotion.
Well, we appreciate you guys watching. We're going to take a week off here and then get right back at it with another one. I'm not really sure what we're going to have up next, but me and Dave will probably talk about that and many other things on the way home and hopefully come up with a good idea. And as always, we appreciate you guys watching. Please go to our social media pages at Double Axis Podcast and like those and share those with your friends. And, you know, it's really important that everybody goes to our YouTube page. For right now, we're working on doing some isolated audio stuff as well, but go to our YouTube page and like our videos and subscribe to those as well. It really helps us out. And, you know, don't be afraid to comment and tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. We'll probably do more of what you don't like just to be polarizing, but we'll see. So, but we really appreciate it, guys, and peace out from Louisville. So.